We come to you this morning in just solemn grievance as two of our Razzball favorites have suffered injuries. Wander Franco and Yordan Alvarez injured. We're waiting to see what happens here, Gray. This is the Razzball Fantasy Baseball podcast, by the way. I am beat on. That's Gray Albright. Gray, are you doing okay? Are you hanging in there?
Just once, can I figure out what I've been doing wrong? Wander Franco, man, and Yordan Alvarez. This is awful. This is really this is terrible. This is what is life really? What is this? What are we doing here? Why are we suffering? Why do we suffer? Why would we be put on this earth to suffer? This is like translated straight out of the Torah. It's not. I mean, this is really just so painful. Honestly, the Wander Franco, as I go over in my roundup for the weekend news, the weekend news. Who am I, Dennis Miller? As I go over in the roundup on the Wander Franco injury, on the player rater, I think he was 250th overall. So I have him in a bunch of leagues that I'm doing okay in. No thanks to him. So losing him is going to be not ideal. Yeah, I don't want to lose Wander Franco. I was hoping he would come on and do well. But losing Yordan Alvarez, if we do lose him for an extended period of time, that's gonna be the old crusher. that's gonna be like the old molar ram reaching into my chest and pulling out my heart and holding up the beating heart. It's just if we lose Yordan Alvarez for an extended period of time, I don't know, man. This is not gonna be good at all. I have Yordan Alvarez in so many. He's carrying me in so many leagues. It's so frustrating that as we record this, we should say that we don't know how bad Yordan Alvarez's injury is. So hopefully it's just they're going. The latest I heard was the Astros sent him back to Houston to have his hand checked out. That does not sound good at all, but I don't know. Maybe they'll do x-rays or whatever you do with hands. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Maybe it'll come back and it'll be oh, it's just sore. It's just a little bit of swelling and it'll be okay. It won't be a major thing. And, with Wander Franco, like I said, we know for a fact Wander Franco is going to be out for a while. And it sucks. It really does. But like I said, I don't think anyone was really counting on Wander Franco for so far this year. So, whatever you've done to fill in for him up to this point, you just keep doing it because he ain't coming back.
Yeah, Wander was doing fine for real baseball. He wasn't striking out. He's taking his walks. Actually, walk rate wasn't even that high, but you definitely had some expectations that he was going to kind of find it again and figure it out. But yeah, Yordan Alvarez is a huge loss. He's 26 home runs. He's hitting over 300 runs and RBIs for days. It could be a big loss. We don't know yet on Yordan. We're still waiting to hear what that looks like.
It's Yordan Alvarez right now is top 4 overall on the player rater. And, we'll go over, I think next week we'll go over my top 100. That'll be the podcast next week. And, Yordan Alvarez, I don't know where I have him ranked right now, but he's definitely, I don't know. It depends on what the news is. If the news is good, I could still see putting Yordan Alvarez in the top 20 or so, even though he is, going to be starting the second half on the IL. If his hand is okay, Wander Franco is done. I feel like outside of maybe obviously in a keeper in a dynasty, you hold on to him. But outside of leagues deeper than a 15-teamer, I don't think Wander Franco's even in a 15-team or mixed league. I don't think Wander Franco's worth holding on to. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I don't think he is.
Yeah, I mean, it always just depends. If you have IL spots open, there's a lot, worse ways to use your IL than holding on to Franco. But yeah, even if it's 6 weeks, if his injury takes 6 weeks to heal from, that's another week, 2 weeks in rehab in the minors. So either way, you're kind of looking at 8 weeks. So it's 8 to 10 realistically, which puts us September 10th, September 15th, somewhere in that range. So yeah, I mean, we're looking at him maybe having 2 weeks of play. If you're in a roster crunch, if you don't have IL spots, you have guys that are coming back sooner that can give you production, then yeah, I think I'm with you. The Wander's not necessarily a hold in a redraft straight format where, again, he's not coming back for until the very end of the season.
Right. Yeah. No, completely. I think if like Wander Franco, even if he comes back like September 1, it's still like you in redraft leagues, unless it's a super deep redraft league, you can find someone to replace Wander Franco for the last month of the season. I don't see any reason in like a 15-team mixed league or shallower, unless like you said you have like an IL slot and you're like, okay, I can, I can stash them for now, but nah, man, you've got some good fortune if you have IL slots at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like say in our RCLs, we have 3 bench spots, 3 IL spots. So in that kind of league, you really do have to have that spot open. And even then, he's probably going to get booted out at some point for somebody else. You just have to kind of accept that. But yeah, Yordan, you're hanging on to until we get more news. Hopefully, it is better than the news we got from Wander. We'll talk about a couple of the guys that have come in to fill their spots in the lineups, or not necessarily their spots in the lineup, but that are getting playing time because of those absences in the waiver wire. But yeah, that sucks. I know that Yordan's on a number of my teams, as you mentioned, Wander as well. But Wander, he's kind of been in and out of the lineup for most of our teams as is, because especially in a shallow league, you can find shortstop, middle infield all over the place.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think on our shout out to our YouTube channel. Hey, what's up, YouTube channel? YouTube.com/Razzball Fantasy. On that, I did a video with Billy talking about replacements for Wander Franco. So people can go there and subscribe, please. Subscribe. But some of the guys I mentioned, I think I mentioned like not Jose. Josh Rojas was one guy. Andres Jimenez is still oddly available in some leagues. Ahmed Rosario, in non-guardian leagues. Paredes on the Rays is probably a decent bet to keep playing now. And then they're also the Rays called up a guy. You want to go over him?
Yeah, we can go over him. I was just going to throw a few more names since we were already kind of throwing out some names for replacements. In some other leagues, Jonathan Scope has been stealing bases, almost at a John Birdie level recently. Jose Iglesias has been getting more playing time. Ellis Andrews puts together like a week and a half of good play, and then he sucks for a week and a half. So if you just kind of ride the curve, you'll get kind of mediocre production from Elvis Andrews. So
I'm convinced that like MLB did some sort of weird tie-in with the Elvis movie and Elvis Andrews. I don't believe that's out of nowhere. I think there's something going on.
They're giving him the 2019 balls.
Yeah. This is like when they covered the second base with like a web for a Spider-Man tie-in. There's something weird going on here. I wanted to say, like, Jonathan Scope, the fact that he's stealing bases, like, I think almost 9.5 years into his career, and now he's stealing bases. What was he doing for the last 9.5 years, man? Like, he could have stolen a base, like, going back to last decade. Man, that guy pissed me off.
Yeah, and I don't know where they came from. Like, he hasn't really stolen all year, and then all of a sudden he puts up 4. in 10 days. Like in 10 days, he's put up 4 stolen bases.
What kind of crap is that? All of a sudden he can run? What are you doing, man? You on greenies? What's going on, bro?
Apparently, the Cleveland, Chicago White Sox back-to-back is just where you need to target your stolen bases, because even Jonathan Scope could steal against Cleveland and Chicago White Sox right now.
No, yeah, seriously.
All right, so you want to talk about the Rays prospect coming up. Let's talk about Jonathan Aranda, number 84 overall on the Itches list, as he writes, "Oh, look, it's a well-rounded, ready now Rays prospect with loud outcomes. I almost listed him as a first baseman because that's where he's been more often than not this season. Jonathan Aranda is coming up. He's AAA this year in 72 games, 13 home runs, 4 stolen bases, 53 runs, 57 RBIs, 330, 403, 546, 19.7% K rate, 9.8% walk rate. I mean, he's been great this year, as Itch mentions. He has some high outcomes potentially, and he's good across the board here. What do you think of Aranda? What kind of leagues are you potentially looking at picking him up in?
Just about 0. I think, I mean, his name sounds too much like Jonathan India, first of all. That's a problem, okay? But, like the Rays also had, let's see, Vidal Brujan. Oh, yeah, he's going to be great. Oh, great. Oh, okay. Josh Lowe. Oh, yeah, he's going to be awesome. Oh, Josh Lowe. Yeah, terrific. Oh, let's see. Who else? Oh, the Rays have tantalized me too many times now. I'm not falling for another banana in the tailpipe of the Rays team. It's enough already. Like they're liars in Tampa Bay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was saying in the roundup again that's going to be out on Monday morning. I think I compared him to like a real young, cheap potential Ty France as a like what he could do. So he's got some power and he's got a really good hit tool. So he could hit probably, he could probably hit 280 with neutral luck. I don't trust the Rays, honestly, to play him. They just, like Kevin Cash specifically, they just don't play guys like, they platoon everyone, and the prospects they do call up are rarely played. I mean, look at Vidal Brujan or Josh Lowe. I mean, both of them are, I mean, they were really highly touted, and the Brujan got sent down. Lowe is just like, I mean, he is basically a platoon guy. He homered on Sunday, so maybe that's the start of something. But yeah, I don't trust Kevin Cash to play Arenado, and even if he does play him, I don't know if he's really gonna to say a guy's gonna be good right out of the jump, and also get everyday playing time. Like I mean, he might be fine, but you might also just be better off grabbing like a Josh Rojas in most leagues, like it's like you're chasing upside on a guy who A, might not play, and B, if he does play, I mean, he's a rookie, so you might not get anything from him. So yeah, I'm pretty down on Arenado. I think he could be fine, but I'm not picking him up anywhere, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I think you could grab him in deeper leagues. I'd say 15 teams and beyond, because you're right. He's probably going to end up getting platooned in one way or another. I don't know where that ultimately looks like for him if he ends up playing some first, second, third.
I mean, honestly, the first, sorry not to interrupt, but if he's a lefty, so immediately there's no way he's ever playing against lefties. I mean, that's totally off the table. There's no way Cash will ever play a lefty versus a lefty. I mean, he didn't even, there's guys that have been in the league forever that he won't play just because they're a lefty, so, I mean, that alone, he's automatically going to be out against lefties. Whether he plays against righties, I don't even know if that's going to happen. Anyway, you were saying?
Oh, I was just saying he's played first, second, and third, so he could potentially play at a number of spots to get him in the lineup. Yandy's a righty. Paredes is a righty. So there's potential spots where he can fit in the lineup. I think Harold Ramirez is one of the DHs right now for them. He's a righty, along with anybody else, that is on the Rays bench. Could always coming up and moving in wherever. But yeah, he can move around, so he could potentially get some interesting eligibility. So that's something I guess in deeper leagues. But yeah, I'm worried about the split as far as him playing time, and just like the upside that we're chasing here isn't like a top 10, top 20 prospect. He's still top 100, so there's still upside. You're definitely there's I'm not saying he's devoid of that, but we're not talking about like must be rostered because he's going to change the world here. I say that he's probably going to go off and be crazy this year, but that's just my thought. I'm with you. It's not like a 10-team shallow league guy.
Right. Agreed.
All right, let's talk about the Boston Red Sox top pitching prospect, Brayan Bello. Between AA and AAA this year, 14 starts, 85 innings, 2.33 ERA, 103 WHIP, 12.1 K per nine, 3.5 walk per nine, 97 mile per hour sinker, changeup, slider, 3-pitch offering. He's it hates pitching prospects, as is everybody in the prospect realm, because one arm injury and all of a sudden their value just tanks. But he is the top pitching prospect in the Boston system. What are you thinking about here with Brayan Bello? Are you adding him in leagues more so than Aranda?
It's Bello.
Bello? Okay.
It doesn't look like it, but it is, which I know because I streamed him for his last start, and that went awful. that couldn't have
Yes.
went worse. So yeah, so I know how to say his name because that's what I was screaming while he was pitching. I mean, he is. His stuff did look good when he was able to command it. He wasn't able to command much of anything in that one start. I honestly don't know how long he's going to be in the rotation. Maybe he stays in it. Like if he pitches well the next time out, maybe he stays in the rotation. But I kind of doubt it because if the Red Sox are in contention, which they are, they're probably gonna go out and get somebody. I mean, I don't know who. I don't know who's on the market, but someone. I don't know. I mean, Jose Quintana is going to be pitching for the Red Sox maybe in August. I don't know. I honestly have no clue, but I doubt. If Bello stays if he looks as bad as he did last time, it's probably going to be his last time out in the rotation for, maybe for the year. I don't know. I honestly, I don't think he's long for the rotation. And if he is, then maybe in a 15-team mixed league, but more than likely, it's like you're looking at matchups no matter where he's starting. No matter what league you're in, you're probably looking at matchups. Even in a 15-team mixed league, if he stays in the rotation, you're probably gonna like pull him out of the lineup if he's going against someone a good team. So yeah, I'm not really, I'm kind of with Itch on this when it comes to like pitching prospects. I mean, you're better off with I know we're gonna get to them in a little bit, but you're better off with a guy like a Cueto or a Quintana versus like a Bello,
Yeah, you are just kind of chasing in the pitching prospect realm. Obviously, we've seen some that come up and do well, especially when they have just incredible stuff like Bello does. He can get away with it, especially upon coming up. But yeah, he just didn't have control. I think I'm probably a little bit higher on him than you are. Just more of a sit and wait and see if this kind of pans out. I mean, it's not like they have obvious choices at the current moment to take his spot, but they have a number of pitchers coming back. They got Sale, Rich Hill, Eovaldi, Waka, all on the IL right now, all coming back. So it is a short-term thing, likely. Again, if he comes up and pitches much better than that first go around, which is very possible, could just been nervous first outing. I think he could lock up a spot because I don't think they're necessarily committed to anybody in that rotation necessarily. It's not like anybody other than Sale is paid like they have to be given a rotation spot. So if Bello continues or does show something, I think he's a little bit more worthwhile. But still, definitely not something that you have to hold on to if you're making moves or if you're using him as kind of the streaming option.
Right.
All right, let's talk about a couple of the Chicago outfielders returning on both sides of Chicago. Eloy is finally back. He's looked okay. The numbers don't really show it yet from a production standpoint on our side from fantasy, but he's hitting the ball well. Are you buying the rest of season if somebody's down on him at all, or is this a situation where he's just been injured for so long, it's kind of hard to really trust him to step right back into it at least?
Yeah, I mean, he was like a guy who I struggled with a little bit when I was ranking him in the top 100. He is in the top 100. That's not giving too much away, I hope, because I mean, he is, if he's healthy, he is worth, I think, a top 100 pick. But where, even if he is like, I don't know, if he's healthy and he gets 250 at bats the rest of the way, what does that translate to really? Like, it's, I don't know, maybe 15 homers and a 265, 270 average. I mean, it's not bad. Is he really like dramatically different than like a lot of other guys who you can probably get off of waivers? I don't know. Maybe it depends on how hot a Rob Refschneider gets or something. It's like it kind of depends on your league. And I do like Eloy still. I would probably even trade for him because if he stays healthy, he's in a decent spot in a good lineup to get counting stats and, probably, like I said, maybe 15 homers won't kill you necessarily in average. He doesn't give you any speed, so he's fine. I like Eloy. I'm for a short. I like him more short term, knowing that he's healthy going into the second half. I mean, assuming he stays healthy, which I guess we shouldn't assume with Eloy, but assuming he stays healthy, he's probably worth a top 50 to 70 overall type if you were redrafting in the second half. I don't necessarily think he's going to be like amazing. Like, I don't see like an Aaron Judge half coming from him. Unfortunately, I think he's probably like if you were redrafting in March and he was going to be healthy all year, I feel like you can't really project him for more than like 30 homers and a 265, 275 average with 0 steals, which is good. I mean, that's definitely worthwhile, but that's starting to sound a lot more like he's a number 3-ish, a number 2 to number 3 outfielder versus like the number 1, I think we thought we were going to get, like, coming into like, going into like 2021, I guess, I that sort of shine has worn off for me. I mean, maybe he gets there again at some point, but at this point, I'm not really like, I'm not sold on Eloy being a number 1 outfielder anymore. I mean, I would have to, at this point, I think I have to see it to believe it,
Yeah, I mean, I think he's fine as a 1 if if you've kind of built up around him at other positions. I do think he's probably good for average and power when he's healthy. My concern is he's just not. I don't think he's healthy yet. He's already sat out Saturday for general soreness. Not great, but not unexpected. Let's talk about some guys here. Would you take him or Ryan Mountcastle, who's kind of that pace, like 275?
General Soreness was my commander in the ROTC in high school. if you believe Gray Albright was in ROTC in high school, you'll fall for anything. Would I take who, Eloy or who?
Ryan Mountcastle.
Man, that's a tough one. I think I have Mountcastle above Eloy in the in my top 100. I don't know though. They're super close, you know. Like Mountcastle actually. So this is kind of interesting. In a side note, Mountcastle was a guy who people mocked me for drafting in November. In my first NFBC league in November, I drafted Mountcastle, and there's a lot worse picks I made in retrospect. So I'm not saying that team is doing well, but people mocked me for taking Mountcastle back in November at like 75 overall. And you know, as I was re-ranking my top 100 now, I feel like Mountcastle is still like around the top 75 guy. Like we'll talk about this next week, but I don't know if like Mountcastle's not bad. I mean, it sucks that the Orioles moved the fences back out of Maryland, so that's not good. But Mountcastle's not bad either. Like I almost feel like I take Mountcastle. Like it depends on the size of the league. Like if it's a deeper league, I think you take Mountcastle because he's safer than Eloy because Mountcastle stays on the field. But if it's a shallower league, I could see going for the Eloy upside. They're super close, though. All that said, they're close.
Yeah, I think I agree with. I think that's well put. Is the league is going to matter because I think Mountcastle's health plus his dual eligibility, he's first base outfield, whereas Eloy is going to be for outfield only. That helps in the deeper leagues. So there's definitely some certainty. But yes, I do believe Eloy's upside's higher. I think he can hit for better average. I think the power in Chicago is better. So I just think he's a better player overall. At least until Mountcastle gets out of Baltimore, since they just decided just to destroy everybody's power in Baltimore. Although it hasn't affected Mountcastle as badly. Let's talk about the other side of Chicago. Seiya Suzuki, our golden boy, has finally returned. Nice return so far. 22 plate appearances, 7 hits, 2 home runs. I mean, he probably actually hasn't hit the ball as hard in his return as we've seen from Eloy, although his numbers look better. But again, the numbers look better on Suzuki. What do you think in the rest of the season?
Yeah, I was actually just when you're talking there, I was looking up Seiya Suzuki on the player rater, and whoo, that's not good. Oh man, that's bad actually. He's about as valuable as Trent Grisham. Remember that name? Wow. At 380 overall on the player rater. Obviously, Grisham hasn't been hurt for 6 weeks, so that's even worse for him. Suzuki's right there with like Miles Straw. Oh God, Javier Baez. Man, these are some sad names down here near 400 overall. Oh, Lucas Giolito. Ouch. Oh man. Okay. Anyway, yeah, Suzuki. I mean, I think he's actually, because of Wrigley's so good for like, in the summer, July, August. So it's so nice to for guys in Wrigley. I think there could be a little bit of opportunity for Suzuki to have like a decent second half. I don't know if he's got like he doesn't have like, I don't think he has 15 homer half type power. I think probably I would say maybe 11 to 12 homers. It's close enough to 15, I guess, but like 11 to 12 homers and a half, hit like maybe 260 with maybe 5 steals. That's not bad. I think that's probably near top 100 overall for second half. That's not terrible. I don't necessarily, I wouldn't go out and trade for Suzuki because I don't believe in the upside as much as I did in the preseason. Now that I've seen what he's able to do, I don't know. I mean, maybe he shocks us and has a great second half, but I've definitely cooled a little bit on Suzuki. I don't know if it's there anymore. Like this huge upside that we were all anticipating. He hasn't done it in like really outside of like a first week of the season. And, when he first returned from the IL, maybe he needs like 4 months off in between at bats. I don't know. That ain't going to work, though. So, yeah, I'm okay with Suzuki as like a third or fourth outfielder. I no longer believe in him as like a first or second.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably pretty close to where you are. I'd probably give him a little bit more credit. Maybe that's just me being a homer as a Cubs fan. As you mentioned, I mean, he's hit 279 in April with 4 home runs. So far in 6 games, he's had 2 home runs. So it was really in that May period. I'm giving him a little bit of a pass for adjustments, maybe being injured and trying to play through it as well. So giving him a small pass there. I think I still like Seiya. I'd still roster him. I'd still go ahead and pick him up. I do think 15 home runs and a half is probably on the high end for him. That 30 home run mark is probably on the higher end for him. That's kind of what he was doing in Japan. So I would say, like you said, 10 to 15 is the right area.
Yeah, I would say like in the preseason, I probably thought of him as like a 27 to 30 homer guy. Now I see him more as probably like a 22 homer guy. So that's like 11 homers per half. So I mean, hey, look at me with the big time math. But yeah, I mean, it's like that's a different like 22 homers in a season versus 30 is a pretty big difference, even if it doesn't sound like it. Like that's a pretty large difference. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I will say all it would take is one good day in Wrigley, though, and all of a sudden he can get, a
Yeah,
couple of good home run days. Then all of a sudden those numbers look better. So
that's fair.
that's what I say. I think with just the summer coming, I think there's a little bit of upside here with Seiya. So I'm not giving up yet. Somebody who used to get the advantage of Wrigley Summers, who now has maybe the only place better to hit other than Wrigley in the summer, is Kris Bryant. I remember that guy. Is this what it was supposed to look like the whole time in Colorado? 11 games since returning, 4 home runs, 341, 383, 682. I mean, he's looked great now. Are we back in on Kris Bryant here? I know you've always kind of not been in on him, but I do think you at least livened up a little bit when he got traded to Colorado.
Yeah, definitely. No, I kind of see why the Rockies gave him an 8-year deal for 500 million. I mean, it makes more sense. By the way, someone commented on YouTube about us, our what we were saying, like the deal, the deal for somebody. I forget who it was now. There was a contract that we
It was
mentioned.
Freddie.
Oh, right, Freeman. Yeah, I don't know anyone's contract. Don't come to this podcast asking, looking for contract information. I don't know. Am I sportstrack.com? No, I don't know. Freeman, yeah. People were like mad that like I think we said 400 million. You ever hear of hyperbole, people? Anyway, Kris Bryant, I think he's actually. Yeah, no, I did. I warmed to him for sure when he moved to Colorado. Like, I wouldn't have gave him 300 million over 8 years, whatever his contract is. I wouldn't have gave that to him, but I did like him in Colorado. I do like him still in Colorado if he's healthy. Sure. I mean, he's like. I also liked Randall Grichuk. That didn't work out so good. I mean, Colorado's good. Coors is good. It's not. I mean, that's not like rocket science. I mean, that's what it is. Is Kris Bryant gonna be like, the second half MVP for teams? I don't think so. But stranger things have happened. Like you said. I mean, Coors in the summer. If Bryant went on a streak where he hit like 17 to 20 homers and a half because Colorado is so favorable, it honestly wouldn't shock me. I mean, it's possible. I think more realistically is he has a good couple weeks and then he gets injured again because lower backs, it can act up at any time. So I wouldn't go out and spend, a high, I wouldn't spend a lot in a trade to get Bryant, but if you got him, I mean, or if you can get him for, relatively inexpensively, I guess it's fine as a as trade guy, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's okay. He's Kris Bryant. Everyone knows who Kris Bryant is at this point.
All right, let's go with a little who would you rather have? Let's say standard 12-team league, like 7-man benches. Let's talk about these four outfielders we've talked about here. Kris Bryant, Eloy Jimenez, Ryan Mountcastle, and Seiya Suzuki. Rest of season.
Man. I'd probably go with Eloy. It depends on the league size, but I think if you're looking for like who can be the best, I think Eloy can have the best second half. I think probably gonna look at Mountcastle 2, Bryant 3, but I mean Bryant could easily be number 1 if he gets hot in cores. I think Bryant is probably 3, only because of cores. Where Seiya Suzuki, like his injury was fluky, and I don't think he's necessarily injury prone. So I would say Seiya Suzuki has a strong chance of being better than Kris Bryant in the second half. It's just, if you're looking for a gamble on whether or not Bryant can be good in the second half, I think Bryant has a better chance of being good because of cores. But Suzuki is probably safer.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Bryant put up MVP style numbers, so we know that's in there if he just gets hot. That's kind of what we're looking at and the difference there. Um, yeah, I think I'm pretty much in line with all that. I think Eloy's the highest upside right now. I would probably say if we're just looking pure upside, I think Bryant's probably got more than Mountcastle. But with the back injury, I think you got to move Mountcastle slightly above Bryant just because of the safety factor.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so let's talk about Tyler O'Neill here. He was rehabbing. He got hit by a pitch during rehab. MRI revealed a tear. So we got about we're waiting to hear news officially as to how bad it is, what's going to happen.
Man, yeah, what is going to happen?
It's been a tough year for Tyler O'Neill owners to begin with, and now this. I mean, what is it? What are we doing here with let's talk about
my Amy Winehouse coaster. Let me see if she has any information as to what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Huh?
So without any without any big information on Tyler O'Neill, let's just talk about in general. Let's say he's, it's not a big setback. He'll be back in 2 weeks. What are you doing with guys like this who we drafted thinking that they were going to be solid members of our team? They have that upside to be a difference maker, but they haven't done it yet. Are you waiting for them to Marcus Semien it and figure it out? Are you taking what you can get in a trade? Are you just letting them ride the pine until they do figure it out? Or are you potentially cutting them and, it's time to move on?
Well, I think it depends on the player. O'Neill, I have this feeling that O'Neill's this is a lost season for him. I don't have any hope for Tyler O'Neill anymore, unfortunately. I mean, he can come back and do really well in the second half, but personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're looking at a lost season for him. Our bullpen guy, JKJ, brought up an interesting thing where he was saying that he thinks he's also a Cardinals fan, and he thought Tyler O'Neill was working out too much and he needed to do more yoga like Aaron Judge. I don't know if JKJ is a trainer, so I don't know how far that information is going to take us. But I think he might have a point. I mean, Tyler O'Neill he's super he's like a muscle on top of a muscle. he's like Popeye with when he flexes, there's little muscles that go up his arm. So I mean, maybe there's something to that. I don't know. We're not gonna fix Tyler O'Neill on this podcast, and even if we did, he ain't listening to find out, so it doesn't matter. I think Tyler O'Neill is probably droppable if this tear is if it comes back and the tear is going to be an actual longer on the IL and a setback. I think he's probably droppable. But I would hold for now until we hear more news. I don't think it's going to be good news, to be honest. And even if he does come back, I've sort of moved on mentally from Tyler O'Neill for this season. I still like him in general for like a dynasty or a keeper league, but I think unfortunately, I think this is going to be a lost season for him.
Yeah, I don't feel great about it either. I really don't know what to do with him at this point because the numbers don't look promising either. I mean, everything kind of looks as though he regressed from last year, but now we may not even get to see it. Um, I'm going to throw a few different names at you, Gray, of guys who are kind of in this bucket though that aren't necessarily injured right now, but are struggling. They were higher draft picks. Nick Castellanos. I mean, he's been fine. He's been fine, but not what you drafted. Like, are you just dropping him and using an outfield spot to stream potentially, or is he just he's somebody you just have to stick in your lineup?
Yeah, no, I think Castellanos is a hold, but I think you also have to assume the worst as far as his power coming back. I think he's Castellanos. I joke that Castellanos is Greek, and I don't think he's really Greek, but he has taken on the Greek persona of Nick Markakis, which is not good. So yeah, I'm holding Castellanos, but I don't have high hopes for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's always been one of those things where like I was always hesitant to say, Nick Castellanos is somebody that I'm targeting, and always felt like he was kind of a little up and down. And then I feel like last year kind of solidified it, and now we're paying for having said he solidified it. Hard hit rates down. Everything else is kind of in line though, so I don't know. I think you're right. He's a hold, but if you're in a shallow league and you need to make a decision on him, I don't mind moving on. I think you can kind of get his production from the wire, even if he does kind of pick it back up. I mean, what are we talking? It's kind of in that like, um, you know, 10 to 15 home run range, like we were talking. Like, unless he's going to provide some average with it or a good number of runs and RBIs, what does it really matter?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he's in a solid lineup in the three hole, more or less, I think most games. So I mean that probably alone is
Yeah.
worthwhile. Let me see actually. Give me 1 second. Castellanos is he's at like 140 overall on the player rater. So yeah, I mean that's a hold
Yeah.
in most leagues. You have to assume he's going to be a little bit better than that going forward. Maybe not a top 50 overall guy, but I mean, even if he's around like 100 overall, that's not bad. I mean, it's worth holding, I think. But I agree with you on his numbers. His like peripherals don't look great. Like, I was joking about Nick Markakis, but I mean, he's not far off from that as of right now. Like his numbers look kind of like I said to sell him in a buy sell, like I don't know, maybe a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. I haven't changed my opinion on that at all. Like, if you can get anything if anyone out there is like has Castellanos and they're in a league where like someone isn't paying attention and they just hear Nick Castellanos and they think like last year's Castellanos, then I would definitely try and move him if I could.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in outfielder leagues, you definitely have five outfielders better than him. But like in three outfielder leagues and points leagues, I could see it. But yes, you're right. 140 overall on the player rater. That's probably not cut worthy. More of a hold. Let him stay in your lineup in five outfielder leagues, or if you really are stacked in the outfield, he can kind of sit on the bench and see if he gets it together. Let's talk about Braden Lowe.
Yeah, he's a cut for
Oof,
me. I think
he
he's
has
a
been
cut.
bad.
Yeah, he's a cut more because of like the injury thing. I think he's just been banged up, and that goes back to like Kris Bryant too, because you know Brandon Lau has had back issues, so that's not good, and it's not. I don't think it's going to get better. He's actually still on the IL, so if you still have him, I mean, Are you paying attention? I think you can lose him, man. Yeah, I would lose Lau. Who else you got?
Max Muncy.
Oh yeah, he's been bad too.
He's been so bad. I don't
So
have any of
bad.
them, but he's been so
Yeah,
bad.
I didn't. Yeah, I these are some of the guys that I actually smartly avoided this year. I wasn't in on any of the ones you've mentioned so far, and Muncy. I think Muncy was injured going into the season, and I don't think that's gone better. So, yeah, I think you can move on from Muncy. In most leagues, like most mixed leagues at least, I wouldn't be holding Muncy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I never really understood. I know there was like that optimism, good reports came out about the injury, but that always seemed like an injury that was going to take more time than people were projecting. And since you had to say that about none of these guys being high ownership for you, I have to bring this up. Jonathan India.
Oh, ow, oh, oh! I have the knife in my back. Oh, oh, at two, B Don.
What
Jonathan
do
has been awful. You know what? It's like he has been so terrible that even if he has a good second half, his year numbers are gonna look terrible. He's been so bad. He's been like off the charts. Just oh my god. Looking at his stats as of the recording of this, he has 3 homers, 11 runs, and 12 RBIs on the year, bro. I have guys on my team who have had better games. I think Michael Harris II has had a better game than that. I mean, oh my God. Yeah, India's terrible. I think though, okay, so
Oh boy.
here's my optimism. Cincy is a great park. He's on top of the lineup. He's still leading off. He's healthy according to last reports. We'll see how far that goes. Yeah, I mean, I'm holding India in all the leagues I have him. I think even if he were available in a 12-team mixed league, I probably would even pick him up just because of the potential is still there. I think for him to have a really solid second half. I think even maybe optimistically, best case scenario, realistic. This is being as realistic as I can. You're still only looking at like 10 homers and a 280 average with maybe a handful of maybe like 3 steals. So, I mean, it's like as optimistic as I'm being, he's still probably replaceable in most shallower mixed leagues, but yeah, I'm holding him still, unfortunately. I'm Tupac committed at this point.
Yeah, I mean, 10-5 with 260, 270 average is definitely within the realm of possibility if he figures it out. Just the numbers aren't looking good as far as him figuring out. I guess I'll say in the looking at the bright side, of Jonathan India and hoping for things to come around. His 2 home runs have come in the last 2 weeks. So maybe there's something that he's starting to figure out. And I think he actually had one today. So I think he maybe
he
up to
did.
3.
Yeah, he's up to 3. Yeah. Yeah, he has 3 homers, the same as Jack Slawinski in one game. Terrific.
All right. So Indy up to 3 in 2 weeks, but yes. Are you holding him, Gray? We're somewhat adding him
honestly,
hesitantly.
no, I'm holding. Yeah, no, I'm 100% holding him, like I
Okay.
said.
Okay.
But honestly, if he has a bad second half, I I would start to be concerned in Dynasty and like if this is like a Keyston Herrera type sidetrack to his career. Like that's how sideways this has gone so far this year. Like this could be a situation where he never comes back from this. Hopefully he does. And hopefully he has a good second half and we can be optimistic about next year because right now, like if he has a bad second half, I don't think I'm going to be back in next year. I don't think I could put myself through this torture again.
Well, if he has a bad second half, he'll be like free next year. So I'll probably be back in
Yeah,
just
well,
because of draft costs.
yes, fair
Yeah,
enough.
I mean the thing that worries me is that he's not walking. It's something he's
Right?
always done. He's always
Yeah,
walked,
I
and he's
know.
not walking. Like he's not striking out, which is great. He's not having that because Keston you could kind of see like he was always like a 30% K rate guy in the majors at least. Like he was always supposed to have this great hit tool and great eye, but in the majors he was always been a 30% K rate guy. I mean, India was a 23% K rate guy in his rookie year, 22% in his rookie season. So I feel like he's not going to bomb out. He's not going to just be a Keston where he's going to go to the minors for like 2 seasons and then come back and be a platoon guy. Um, but I'm just worried about he's just not hitting the ball with authority right now. It's kind of what Tyler O'Neill's doing. Like for all the muscles that Tyler O'Neill has, he's just not hitting the ball with authority like he was. India's not really that guy. He's never going to be like an exit velocity leader. He's counting on the fact that he controls the bat well. He plays in a great park. So I think there's still some upside here. I'm not giving up. I think 10-5, 260 is still in play, but
His
he
numbers
needed
are
to turn
so
it around.
wild. India's numbers are like so wild. Like while you were talking, I was looking at like his plate discipline, and his like O swing went from 22% to 30%. And like you said, with like the walks, like what is going on with him,
Yeah.
man? Like,
I just
is
feel
he
he's not
like, are
seeing
we
it.
like in the off season are we gonna hear reports that he needs to have like LASIK surgery? Like, what's up, man? Are you seeing, bro? Yo, are you seeing this? You say India, come here for a second. Can you see this barn? Because it's right in front of you.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
mean, O swing up almost 10% or up almost over 7%. First strike rate up over almost 10% up. So yeah, I think there's just like a visual problem here where he's just not seeing it. But yes, that may not get fixed this year. Um, 3 home runs in 14 days does have me feeling a little bit better.
yeah, yeah, fair enough.
Let's talk about somebody who's not struggling, please, please. Julio Rodriguez, number 14 on the play rater for rest of season for Rudy. I mean, I think he's currently number 4 on the current play rater.
Seven.
7. Okay. Um, I mean, he's looked amazing. He's got 15 home runs, 21 stolen bases, 50 runs, 43 RBIs, 274, 335, 480. Let's talk about where we have him rest of season, and then I mean, kind
Yeah.
of in that same breath, where he fits in 2023. I mean, he looks amazing. The numbers are great. What's there not to like about this guy?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if you have to if you have to try and find stuff, I guess his strikeouts are a little high and his walks are a little low, but I mean, all within reason for a rookie. I mean, there's not a ton to not like. I think he could potentially be a top 10 guy for me overall next year. Like I don't know, man. He looks great, and it's also like he's stealing so much, and that's such it's so rare in today's game to get a guy who can steal and hit for power. So yeah, I mean, if he ends the year like right now, he's on pace for a 25-35 season. If he has a 25-35 season, how is he any different than like Tatis or Acuna? It's like it's going to be hard. Or best case scenario, uh, Trey Turner or like Bichette, I guess. Even though I think Bichette's power's down a little bit from that. Yeah, I think Julio Rodriguez he's going to be near top 10 overall guy, if not even higher than that. It's going to be hard if he has a second half like his first half, it's going to be hard to deny it. I mean, he looks good, brah. He looks
Yeah,
really good.
and he's not having trouble hitting the ball with authority. Like he is hitting bombs right now. He is squaring balls up. I mean, everything looks great on him. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he's not in the top 10, maybe top 5, top 3 next season. I mean,
I
if we're
mean,
talking about Tatis
honestly,
not playing all
if you're
season,
looking at it, if you're him or Juan Soto,
yeah, I think I'd rather have him in a roto
crazy.
fantasy, like no question.
Yeah.
As great as Juan Soto is, like if we're asking, like I have to pick one to build the Cubs franchise around, I'll take Soto. But like to build a fantasy team, I'll take Julio Rodriguez.
All right, I know. Like even looking at like Julio Rodriguez's homer per fly ball, he's not. It's not even that high. It's at 19% right now. I mean, that's not that high. And he's got like, I mean, maybe he's a little bit too many ground balls, but it's not even that bad. I don't. Yeah, I mean, everything looks really good. I love him. I love him. God damn it, I love him.
Yeah, I mean he's out here hitting like 440-foot bombs. Like the power is not going away. He may dip a little bit, and if he hits some struggles, but like he's gonna continue to hit the ball with authority. I have no
Yeah,
concerns
great.
about that. Let's talk about a couple of pitchers who have had strong starts back to back. Spencer Strider and Tristan McKenzie. Strider actually has 3 straight starts, allowing 1 earned run over those 3. 30 Ks in 18 innings. On the season, he has 65 and 2/3 innings, 102 Ks, a 39.1% K rate, a 9.6% walk rate, 2.60 ERA, 0.97 WHIP. I mean, he's been great. Gray. Is Spencer Strider the next fantasy ace?
Or the next Tukey Toussaint. I think
You really hate Braves pitchers.
you know what? I'd like the Braves pitchers if they didn't have a great one come out of the woodwork every 2 months and then disappear just as quickly. I think Strider, I mean the times I've seen him, the trouble with me with Strider and a lot of these like Braves prospect pitchers, they're never really that highly touted. And then they come up and they do so much better. And then they do a lot worse. and then they never really find their footing. So I don't know. I don't know where I am with Strider, like long term. I think probably, I mean, he looks great. Like as far as strikeouts go, he's always struck out a lot of guys in the minor league. So this isn't necessarily coming out of nowhere. His command is so wonky though that I do worry that like it could go sideways at some point and he could be like a bit of a mess. So yeah, I mean I like obviously I'm rostering him in every league where I can right now. I mean that goes without saying, but long term, I don't know. I mean his command is still a little bit wonky. So he's got to hold like a 13 plus K per nine to balance a 3.5 to 4 walk rate. Yeah, I mean it's not bad. Even like if you look at it, like his xFIP is 2.41, so obviously he's pitching really well. I think for this year, I'd worry a little bit about innings because like he didn't throw that many innings last year. I think it looks like roughly doing the math, it looks like about 90 innings last year. So he's at 65 and a 2/3 now. So maybe he can go to like 110, 120. So, you're looking at about another 55 to 60 innings, which is, I mean, again, I would take him everywhere. I have no problem grabbing him and holding him as long as he's pitching well. I do worry a little bit about the command for the long term, though.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see him running into command issues where he just kind of hits a period where guys aren't swinging at the stuff out of the zone because he can't keep it in the zone. But for now, he looks amazing. I mean, I love everything about every start that I've seen of his. Let's talk about, would you take him or second half notable fall off for Joe Musgrove?
Oh, I definitely take Musgrove.
Okay.
I think just because Musgrove's a lock for 85 plus innings where, I don't, like I said with Strider, I don't know if we're going to get 60 plus. So yeah, I go Musgrove because I think Musgrove, while I do worry about Musgrove's second half splits career wise, I do think Musgrove can be rosterable, if not, decent maybe not the ace that we've seen in the first half. That's all with Musgrove, I think.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, to get into that territory, I mean, Strider's absolutely amazing, but he does need the innings in the second half to kind of get into that top pitcher area. Although the K's may just carry him, honestly. Let's talk about Tristan McKenzie real quick. 13 innings in the last two starts, no earned runs, 11 Ks. He does have 6 walks. He had a little bit of a command issue in the Royals game, although he, again, 0 earned, 4 Ks in that game. What are you doing with Tristan McKenzie? He's had a solid season. The K rate has not been quite as high as maybe his fans were expecting, me being one of them. 20 slightly under 23%, walks 7.5%, so down from last year a little bit. What are we thinking with Tristan McKenzie? Is he a must hold? Is he a streamer? I mean, I think he's probably earned at least a roster spot at this point.
Yeah, no, definitely a roster spot. Actually, many people don't know this, but in his high school play, he played the part of the Feather in Forrest Gump. Yeah, he is quite thin. I think he's fine. He feels like I liked him going into this year too. I didn't draft him anywhere, I don't think. But that wasn't because I didn't like him. I don't know where he ended up going, but he didn't go to me. I feel like his numbers, looking at them, they're sort of like a back end mix, a shallow mixed league back end guy, like decent, definitely worth holding on to. But there's going to be times when I think like a Jake Odorizzi stream will be better than a Tristan McKenzie start. Like there's going to be games where I would be like, yeah, I don't think McKenzie's a good start for like this week or something. So he's good. I'm not quite a streamer, but bordering on it if he doesn't get his Ks up a little bit.
Okay, that's fair. And a guy I think I kind of reminds me of him, at least in the results, and the height a little bit. Would you rather him or Taijuan Walker?
Walker.
Okay. And I think I'd go Walker just because actually, you know what? I'm going to go Tristan because I expect Taijuan Walker will probably, hurt himself playing video games or something this weekend and be out for the season because that's how it goes with Taijuan Walker.
Yeah, possibly.
Let's go ahead and move over to the bullpens. Gray, you want to talk about some of the news and some of the things that have happened this week in the bullpens?
They down in Texas, the Rangers replaced Joe Barlow because he only had a 0.99 WHIP and like a barely 3 ERA. I mean, what's going on there, man? Like what? Like that's what you want to do with your is that Chris Woodward? Hey man, what are you doing, bro? Like what? Why was Barlow replaced? Because he had 2 bad outings back to back? It's like ridiculous, man. It's so frustrating. So Brett Martin, or unless because he's on the Texas Rangers, Brett Martin. No, I think it's Martin. Anyway, Brett Martin had he got the last 2 saves. Well, he got Friday and Saturday saves. I don't know if someone got one on Sunday. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I guess he's the guy right now. Seems really kind of silly that Barlow is replaced. I mean, talk about a blow to a guy's confidence. Like, what? Like, so dumb. Anyway, yeah, so I guess Martin is the guy there. In Philly, it looks like Knievel. It looks like Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20 wants Knievel to be the closer again. So there's that, I guess. Will Smith, AJ Minter they're kind of splitting time, and Trevino in Oakland looks like he's getting most of the save ops, but he's like, I feel like he's almost 100% guaranteed getting traded. I doubt Trevino is in Oakland past the deadline. But that doesn't mean I really want anyone in Oakland, even if Trevino's not there. I guess if Jimenez returns, then he's fine. Paul Seawold in Seattle looks like he's finally pulling away with the job, kind of, in Seattle. But as soon as we say that, like, Diego Castillo will get the saves or something.
Yeah, he got one, I think, this weekend, actually. Although Sewell had pitched in back-to-back games, so it was kind of an understood, why Castillo's in there. But yes, Seattle, as soon as we think we figured them out, they swap it out on us. I don't really understand the Barlow thing. Low-key, Texas actually has a really solid pin this year. So really any number of guys I think could step in and close, but it does seem a little bit over necessary, or maybe just a little anxious to swap him out that quick.
Yeah, a little bit overreactive. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens in Texas. I wouldn't be dropping Barlow yet. I think eventually they end up giving him the job back. But for now, Brett Martin and Dennis Santana are potential saves guys for you in your leagues. Let's talk about some guys on waivers and let's get out here, Gray.
Okay. Let's see. Wilmer Flores was he homered on Sunday, I believe. Actually, we should mention is Alex Wood still throwing a no-hitter, or should we do a whole segment about Alex Wood's no-hitter and then like cut it in if it happens?
If it happens.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, Wilmer Flores homered on Sunday. That was his second homer of the weekend, I believe. So that's sounds like a hot bat there. Ryan Jeffers, similar situation, 2 homers the past weekend. Derek Hall over in Philly, he's been hot since he got called up. That kind of goes back to the Jonathan Arenado situation where it's like, instead of looking for the best prospect, just look for the guy who's hot. Josh Rojas, as I mentioned earlier, as a replacement as a Wander Franco, Josh Rojas has been a little bit hot. Jose Miranda, I actually picked up Jose Miranda, I think in a 15-team mixed league just the other day, because he's been really hot. I think he's like top 30 on the 7-day player rater. And Daniel Vogelback, bringing Jelly back. Yeah, he's been hot as well. So there's that.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention, because we talked about these 2 guys off the top, it's Jonathan Aranda. It's Aranda. If you listen to Gray's pronunciation, you may be going a little Arenado with an A on the end. It's Aranda.
Yeah.
And then it's Brayan for Brayan. It's Brayan. It's Bello, or Bello is Bello. So just so you know, when you go search your leagues, I always, I wanted to let you know, because pronunciation is not our thing at the Razzball Fantasy Baseball Podcast, which you can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/Razzball Fantasy. Also, Twitter at Razzball for Gray, at RazBdon for me. You can go to TikTok or Instagram, Razzball Fantasy. Anything else, Gray?
No.
All right. Later, everybody. See you next week.